Hello and welcome to Digital Bus Lab. If you are planning to move your domain from one registrar to another, this video will guide you through the process step by step. Many people think domain transfers are complicated, but the transfer itself is usually straightforward. The real risk is accidentally disrupting your website, email services, or DNS settings. In this tutorial, I will show you how to transfer a domain safely using a real-world example and explain the precautions you should take before starting. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what needs to be done and the common mistakes you should avoid. Let's get started. A domain transfer simply means moving your domain registration from one registrar to another. For example, you might move domain from Namecheap to Spaceship or from one registrar to any other provider that offers better pricing, features or support. What many beginners don't realize is that a domain transfer does not automatically move your website or your email service. The website stays where it is hosted, the email service remains connected, and the domain name itself does not change. You are simply changing the company that manages the registration of your domain. Think of it like moving your bank account to a different bank while keeping ownership of your house. The ownership stays the same, only the service provider changes. There are several reasons why people decide to transfer a domain. One of the most common reasons is cost. Another registrar may offer lower renewal pricing, helping you save money over the long term. Some people transfer because they prefer a cleaner dashboard, stronger security features, or better customer support. Others want easier domain management or better integration with their website and email services. Whatever your reason, the transfer process is generally the same. However, before you start the transfer, there is one important mistake that many beginners make, and avoiding it can save you a lot of trouble later. Now the important part. This is the most important step in the entire domain transfer process. Before transferring your domain, make sure you back up all of your DNS records and settings. The transfer itself is usually straightforward. The real problems occur when DNS records are lost, changed, or cannot be recovered. Your DNS records tell the internet where your website is hosted, where your email is hosted, and how various online services connect to your domain. If something goes wrong and you don't have a record of these settings, restoring your website or email can become much more difficult. Before you begin the transfer, take screenshots of your DNS records or save them in a document. This simple precaution can save you a great deal of time and frustration later. Let us take a quick look at the most important DNS records you should save before starting a transfer. A records. Connect your domain name to your website server and determine where your website is hosted. MX records control email delivery and are especially important if you use services such as Soho Mail, Google Workspace, or Microsoft 365. CNAME records are commonly used for subdomains and domain verification. Text records are often used for verification, email authentication, and security settings. Before transferring your domain, take screenshots of these records or save them in a document. Having a backup makes it much easier to restore services if any settings are accidentally changed during the transfer process. At this stage, before starting the transfer, make sure your domain is eligible to be transferred. In most cases, a domain cannot be transferred within 60 days of a new registration or a recent ownership change. The domain should also be active and not expired. You should have access to the email address associated with the domain. Finally, make sure the domain can be unlocked and that there are no transfer restrictions in place. Once you have completed these checks, you are ready to begin the transfer process. Now, it's time to unlock the domain. Log into your current registrar and open the domain management section for the domain you want to transfer. Locate the domain lock setting and turn it off. Most registrars keep domains locked by default to prevent unauthorized transfers and protect against domain theft. Disabling the lock tells the registry that you authorize the domain to be transferred to another registrar. In most cases, this is as simple as switching a toggle from on to off. The next step is to obtain the EPP or authorization code. Think of this code as a transfer password for your domain. The new registrar will require it before the transfer can begin. In most registrars, you can obtain the code by clicking the authorization code button or by requesting it from the domain management section. Some registrars display the code immediately, while others send it to the registered email address. Once you receive the code, keep it safe because you will need it in the next step when starting the transfer. Now it's time to start the transfer with your new registrar. Locate the domain transfer option. Enter the domain name you want to transfer and then provide the EPP or authorization code you obtained in the previous step. At this stage, you will normally be asked to pay the transfer fee. In most cases, the transfer fee also includes a 1-year extension of your domain registration period. Once the information has been submitted and the payment is completed, the transfer request will be sent for approval. After you submit the transfer request, the next step is to approve it through email. Both your current registrar and your new registrar may send confirmation or approval emails. Make sure you check your inbox carefully and also look in your spam or promotions folders in case the email is filtered. You must approve the transfer request to continue the process. If you miss this step or delay approval, the transfer can be delayed or even cancelled. Once the transfer request has been approved, the waiting period begins. Most domain transfers are completed within 5 to 7 days, although some may finish sooner depending on the registrars involved. During this time, the registrars verify the transfer request, process the transfer, and complete the final approval steps. In most cases, your website and email services will continue working normally throughout the process. At this stage, there is usually nothing more you need to do except monitor the transfer and wait for completion. Once the transfer is complete, take a few minutes to verify that everything is working correctly. Visit your website and make sure all pages load normally. Send and receive a test email to confirm that your email service is functioning properly. Check that your DNS records are still present and that any domain verification records remain intact. Finally, verify that your SSL certificate is working and that your website still loads securely using HTTPS. This final review helps ensure that the transfer was completed successfully and that all services continue to operate as expected. Let us quickly review the entire process. First, back up your DNS records and settings. Next, confirm that the domain is eligible for transfer. Then unlock the domain and obtain the EPP or authorization code. Start the transfer with your new registrar, approve any confirmation emails, and wait for the transfer to complete. Finally, verify your website, email services, DNS records, and SSL certificate are all working correctly. By following these steps, you can transfer a domain safely and minimize the risk of downtime or configuration problems. Thank you for watching. I hope this tutorial has helped you understand how to transfer a domain safely without disrupting your website, email service, or DNS settings. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to Digital Buzz Lab for more practical guides on domains, websites, blogging, email services, and online business tools. You can also visit digitalbuzzlab.com for additional resources and tutorials. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.